Hey there, everybody. I am Jeff. This is Tabletop Toolbox, a YouTube channel dedicated to the modern board gaming hobby. And speaking of the modern board gaming hobby, did you know that every year, nearly 5,000 new games are announced on the popular website BoardGameGeek.com? With so many games coming out, how can you possibly whittle down those of particular interest? Well, that is a good question, and the topic of this video where I will share with you my 10 most anticipated games for 2026. So, yeah, how do we get from 5,000 to 10? Well, I'm going to show you how I do it. First of all, I do like to check out games. I sort of review the list of games I have crowdfunded in the previous year, but I do tend to sort of leave out games that were crowdfunded around, say, October, November, December of last year, because let's be honest, the chances of them making it out in less than a year is kind of small, even if they think that's what they're going to do. So these are going to be games I sort of crowdfunded earlier in the year. I also do tend to go to Board Game Geek and check out, any games that have a listing of 2026. I do tend to look at those based on popularity, maybe early ratings, that kind of a thing, because again, going through that full list of games is pretty tricky. I'll also say that I don't include expansions on this list. That's really just a personal preference thing, although I will say that there are a couple expansions I am quite excited to come out in this year. And lastly, I'll say that I don't include games from the previous list, 2025, that did not make it. So for example, Spirit Fire by Orange Nebula was on my list of games from 2025. It did not come out in 2025, and I will not be featuring it on this list. All new stuff for your benefit, hopefully. Number 10 on this list is Garage Rock. This is from Mariposa Games. They made a couple games in the Trailblazer series, and so they should be fairly reliable in terms of production and timeline. This is a game set in sort of running a garage band trying to become a successful rock band. It uses worker placement. It has event cards or events that are triggered throughout the game and appears to have a pretty nice production. I am a huge fan of the music genre, having been a musician myself for many, many years. And one of my favorite games right now is still Rock Hard 1977 from DeVere and Jackie Fox. And so this is another game kind of in that theme, and I really, really have my fingers crossed for this one. Up next is Journeys Afar. This is from Travis Chance, who I know somewhat personally. He has been sort of a co-producer on games like Aeon's End and Western Legends. This is, like Western Legends, a very big open world game. Each player is going to have a unique board in front of them. They're going to have a little bit of a story to kind of get themselves started. They will be interacting with their own environment. There will also be either rolling dice or flipping cards. I'm not entirely specific on details or clear on details. And those are going to make various events in their own world trigger. But what's really interesting is they can eventually open gates that get them to the other worlds in play around the table. And so you may not have anything, you may not have any players in the world in front of you. You still are managing the various events and things that are sort of happening in that world while you may be traipsing around in someone else's world. This is a really neat looking game. I know Travis has put a ton of effort into this. I've talked to him a couple times about this. I was even hoping to get my hands on a prototype copy. That just didn't quite pan out. But I am looking forward to seeing what this does, and maybe even seeing if it's something that my daughter might enjoy as a young teenager. We shall see. Next, I think number 7 on this list is Dawn of Pangaea. Now, this is a follow-up to the game of Forests of Pangaea. It is from the same designer. However, this time he is paired up with the publisher Treacer, and they made games like Zoo Tycoon, which was a very interesting, somewhat, maybe polar, or polarizing, I should say, zoo management game. The original game, Forest of Pangaea, was this competitive, unique, nature-themed game where you sort of represented these spirits and you were trying to grow trees and then perform rituals, scoring points off of your trees and other players' trees. You would cause your own trees to kind of wither throughout these rituals, making it, of course, a bit of a challenge to then regrow and continue this process. But it was a really, really interesting idea. Dawn of Pangaea looks very, very similar. It seems to have a lot of similar components. They have made it very clear that it is a newly designed game, sort of ground up. I was really, really torn on whether or not I was going to back this. I have not played Forest of Pangaea in quite some time, but I really, really did enjoy it. I really liked the production. I really liked the challenging decisions that you had to make and sort of the timing that could really just make or break the game for you. I really, really liked it. And so kind of as a last minute decision, I went ahead and I backed Dawn of Pangaea, hoping that this one pans out as well. Next on this list, let me see, what are we up to? Maybe 6. This is Cozy Cat Cafe. Now this one's another bit of a gamble because the designer and the publisher have no other games to their credit. This is kind of their first time foray into the board gaming world. But it's a game about cats. And folks, I love cats. We have quite a bit of cats around the house here ourselves, and there are just not a lot of games that kind of give you a cute, cozy cat theme. I have been to at least one cat cafe down in Miami area, had an absolute blast. There is one here in Richmond that I really do need to go and check out. And so this was a game that I took a chance on. I backed this. I don't know a whole lot about what it does. It does appear to have, if I remember, sort of a grid system, and you're sort of installing things into your cat cafe, various toys and treats and snacks and whatever else, and amassing points in a number of ways. I really, really hope that this one pans out to be a win. Cozy Cat Cafe. Number 5, I think. 5, yes. This one is Sovereign Fall of Wormwood. This is from Ixion Games. The designer is Damon Stay, with a lot of help from his assistant Cassandra Chowdhury. I have met and played, actually, this game with Cassandra and Damon in the past. I did a preview video of it here on the channel some time ago. This is one of those games where I frankly don't know why I like it, but I like this game so much. It is something of a living card game. You're going to have a unique deck to the faction that you choose. You'll play with that deck. There's no real deck construction, although I think he has ideas to sort of be able to incorporate that down the line. You're trying to build something of a couple military, sort of a couple different armies. You're trying to research and find, I believe they're called echoes. They're echoes that you're trying to either steal from other players or sort of discover and research on your own. It has a really neat idea where you're actually using the backs of these cards as a timer to track as you're producing these various military units, various buildings, constructs, whatever it may be, and even these echoes that you're trying to basically collect either 10 or 12 of in order to win the game. So there's a lot of conflict in this. There is a ton of synergy between the various cards that you get out in play, and then you're trying to attack your neighbors, hopefully, and either taking out their militaries so that you can then steal cards from their hand, or attacking the forge where they're researching those cards and stealing the echoes directly from there. Again, not usually my cup of tea. I am not a very confrontational based player, but I have had a ton of fun with some of the combos that you can create from the cards in this game, and playing against Damon and Cassandra and seeing them play it has always encouraged me to dig even deeper into the systems of this game. Tons of replay, tons of just unique opportunities available to you from play to play. Sovereign Fall of Wormwood was number 5. Number 4 is The Mix. This is from, designer's name is Gimme, I have no idea how to pronounce it. He did design the game of Bunny Boom, which did not come out to substantial acclaim. But this is a engine building, worker placement, and deck or bag building game about being a mixologist. You've got, I believe, dice or cubes that function as, ice cubes, and you're collecting different resources. You're trying to make the best drinks, fulfilling orders. It just looks really, really cool. The couple of pictures I've seen of this look fantastic. I have taken a small interest in mixology myself in the past year or so, and so I'm just really excited for this. And again, I hope that this one comes out to be a win. Number 3 is Revenant. This is a follow-up to the game of Voidfall, both of which published by Mindclash Games. Voidfall is a very, very heavy, very complicated, maybe sometimes overcomplicated game set in space. Of course, sort of an epic, not quite a 4X game, but it says it is. It's really not. But, an expansion type game. You've got some warfare going on, mostly playing against NPCs, sort of playing against the game. You can combat other players. There's not a lot of it, not a lot in there for you if you go that route. But this is supposed to be a lighter version of Voidfall, and really a completely different idea. You're sort of a specific fleet escaping from the Voidborn in the game, and you get caught up in conflicts, and you're simply trying to come out with the strongest aspect of your fleet amongst all your other opponents. Uses worker placement, and it has this idea where as your ships kind of start getting picked off, you have less and less options available to you. You're trying to do the most with what you have. Kind of reminds me of the game of Space Station Phoenix, and I think there's a little bit of a semi-co-op nature to this game as well. Voidfall was a game that I've always been challenged with. I did a review of it on the Dice Tower and didn't give it the greatest marks, but I have really always enjoyed the puzzle of trying to succeed at that game and really trying to just constantly set my highest score. So, in that note, I'm interested to see what Revenant has to offer. Number 2 is The Game Makers. This is from Ben Rossett, who I've always had an interest in. I've enjoyed... one of the very first games I ever played was Brewcrafters, a game sort of set with the idea of Agricola, but running a brewery. And that sort of, brought me to note Ben Rossett. His recent games I've really enjoyed were the Fromage and the, I think it's Fromaggio games, where you're running a cheese industry, which always seemed weird to me, but they are very delightful games. This is from Ben Rossett, also from Bezier Games, another publisher that I've always enjoyed a lot of titles from. This is another game about making games, sort of reminiscent of the Tabletop Inc. game, which came out last year and didn't really do great. It's an interesting game, but it was really overwrought with a lot of just weird ideas. This was a game that I was going to back when it came across crowdfunding, but it was ridiculously expensive. And I think a lot of people, myself included, just decided, we'll wait and see how this plays when it comes out. Because, of course, if it does well, there will be a reprint and we'll jump on the bandwagon then. So I don't even know a whole lot about how this plays. When it was coming across crowdfunding, I wasn't able to do a lot of research. And just seeing the price tag was enough for me to stay away from it. So hopefully I will get a chance to play it when it comes out and decide if I want to add it to the collection at some point. The next couple of games on this list, I've been way off on my count, haven't I? Because this next one is actually number 3. Way off. How did I get that far out of count? Don't know. Anyways, number 3 on this list, and these next couple of games were ones I just kind of took to Board Game Geek to sort of say, hey, what else is coming out? Are any of these of interest? So these are games I don't necessarily know quite as well. The first one is Away Team, The Voyages of Pandora. This is coming out from GMT Games, and the designer is John Butterfield, who also made Space Corps 2025 to 2300 AD, also published by GMT Games. As much as I can tell, this is a 1 or 2 player game with a couple different modes of play. You can do sort of an epic solo campaign game. You can do sort of a one-off solo experience, or you can play a 2-player game. And I actually don't know if the 2-player game is cooperative or competitive, but it is a narrative-driven experience in outer space. And I will say, without a ton of experience, that seems to be very unusual coming from GMT. That doesn't really seem to be their bread and butter. And so I'm very, very curious to see what this does. The idea of sort of exploring different worlds and having unique scenarios at each of those planets really does appeal to me. Almost kind of reminds me of the game of No Man's Sky, the video game, I should mention, of No Man's Sky. So I'm curious to check that one out. Number 2 is Fortunes of Scoundrel Bay. Now, this one I actually did know about. It was at the Dice Tower retreat last year. It's a little bit of a, sort of a shoe-in, if you will, because it's already out in international markets. It's just not out here in the U.S. So I am taking a little bit of a personal a pass, if you will, in calling this a 2026 game. It is an open world pirate game. It uses pick up and deliver mechanisms. There are monsters to fight. There's kind of lots of different stuff going on. Again, that sort of open world idea is always something I enjoy, and so I will hopefully get a chance to play myself Fortunes of Scoundrel Bay. And the last game on this list, the actual number one that we have been marching towards, is Era of Atlantis. This is another game from a designer and a publisher I have not heard of. They don't seem to have any other big games that have come out yet. They seem to have a couple things that are kind of in the works, which again could make this a question as to whether or not it even comes out in 2026. But it is a semi-cooperative game set in the city of Atlantis, something I have always, it's a theme I've always had an interest in. And what's really neat with this one, and it seems to be something that they have in one of their other upcoming games set in space, interestingly enough, is that you can sort of choose to be a good or an evil character in this game. You can kind of pick which direction you want to play and what type of character you want to be. And that reminds me of a game, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a video game where you could be good or evil with like a pet you could interact with. I can't remember the name of it. But anyways, so this one sounds pretty interesting as well, Era of Atlantis. And those are the 10 games I'm looking forward to checking out here in 2026. What games are you looking forward to coming out in this next year? Let me know in the comments, and hopefully we will all be pleasantly surprised. Until then, folks, talk to you soon. Cheers.